Welcome to the home of the Shrimps. We're in Morecambe. We're Tyson Fury, not you. I wasn't talking about you just yet. You'll get your introduction in a minute. It's the home of the Shrimps. That's the football team. Nothing to do with fighters. We're not doing any sizes jokes here whatsoever. Tyson Fury, all 6'9" of him, will be here very shortly. As will Frank Warren, and as will, hopefully, Josh Denzel. He was meant to be here, but he's had a problem going north on his train. Most people in London have a problem going north on this train. Me, no problem from the Midlands. Carl, no problem from Belfast. People in London, kaput. It's going to be a conference to not officially launch. We've already done that before Christmas. We did it in January. We've had loads and loads of official launches for Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury. This will be just a little bit of, well, Tyson Fury. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, Carl Frampton. I'm not quite sure what Tyson will deliver today, because Tyson has a habit, when you expect nothing, of delivering something incredibly big.
Yeah, look, we're all waiting to see what we get from
what we get.
It's a press conference, obviously, to talk about the Fury and Usyk fight. Usyk isn't here, it's Fury on his own. Who knows what we're going to get, but I'm excited. Bonsi, as always, anything to do with Tyson Fury gets me excited.
So of course
you can take that whatever way you want.
I'll take that the correct way. Of course, the original date was back in February. Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk, all four of the belts. The first time that the four recognised belts had ever been contested at heavyweight. It's been done in other weights half a dozen times, but never ever at heavyweight. Although Oleksandr Usyk had done it down at cruiserweight a few years ago, travelling all around the world to collect all four of the belts. An amazing achievement. This will be about Tyson Fury. Maybe it's talking about the eye injury that he had that put him out of the last fight at about 2 weeks' notice. Also talking, as he always does, about the future. Perhaps he'll retire for the 9th time. Who knows? Yeah. Perhaps he'll unretire for the 8th time. That's just the way it works.
There's no point guessing. We'll see. We'll see
no
what he
says.
Guessing. And it could be something that we haven't even thought about that comes up today. So we'll just wait and see, I think.
Now, it seems like forever ago that we were in London to officially announce the fight, Oleksandr Usyk against Tyson Fury, where it was given the Ring of Fire name. That just seems to me, I mean, that was just forever ago. Yeah. And fighters can change. It's like 6 months ago. By the time they get in the ring, it will be nearly 6 months.
Absolutely. It can be, people, as they get on in their careers, 6 months could be a long time, and we could see deteriorations and different things. I'm not really expecting to see that. I know people are making a big deal out of the cut. People were disappointed when it happened at the time, but these are things that happen, and when you're sparring, especially when you're big guys.
Well, you suffered an injury, a fluke injury. Yeah. 4 days before a fight, and then you had an opponent fall over in the shower the night before a fight. Yeah. In fact, you're bad luck. Don't touch me.
And they sound made up. And I imagine if I'm someone listening to these stories, I'm going, nonsense. That's made up. But these things happen. So I think that the fight now, Fury and Usyk, is probably, although everyone was disappointed at the time that it had to be rescheduled, it's probably a bigger fight now. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it.
Did you think a little bit, Cole, and I've got to be careful how I word this, that whole sort of January period leading up to the cut, the cut came the day after Tyson sent out some pictures, which were genuine. Yeah. Just the best shape I've ever seen him in. I mean, ever seen him in since he was, even when he was 18 or 19, he wasn't in shape as good as that. He wasn't as ripped as that, wasn't as cut as that. He looked in brilliant shape. The next morning, he gets the eye injury, savage cut on his right eyelid. Do you think that, and this just seems, I've got to be careful how I say this, that whole January was really low key? You know, we were getting closer and closer to the fight, but did it feel like we were about to have the heavyweight fight for all four belts for the first time ever in history? Did it feel that way to you?
I'm not sure. Did it? I don't know. I'll have to try and think back.
Think back before because it was obviously a big letdown. Yeah. When the news of the cut came out.
I always thought the fight was going to happen. It wasn't one of these kind of conspiracy guys that thought this fight's never happening. I was looking forward to it. I genuinely thought it was going to happen, and I understand. You know what people are like in this day and age with social media,
especially in our business.
Yeah, but I mean, people people get cut in sparring. I've been cut in sparring before, and this is what happens, and fights have to be called off or postponed.
I'm not really talking about whether I thought the fight would happen or not. I just thought that, I knew the fight was happening. My tickets were booked for Saudi. My hotel was booked for Saudi. I knew what I'd be doing. We both knew what our duties would be with TNT. We were all set. We were on our way. I'm talking more about the sort of thing that it hadn't. We weren't like going, I can't wait. Like, for instance, you weren't doing a daily countdown, weren't you?
Yeah.
I've only got 32 days to go, 31 days to go.
Maybe.
Whereas now
we are.
Now we are. Now we're getting closer to May 18th, which in some ways, in early April, looks like a ways off, but it's not. There is a definite countdown clock in place now that I didn't feel in January, but I do feel now.
Yeah, and they've got this kind of, isn't there a fine or something if there's a pullout again, or
10 million,
something like that? Just what's that to the boys? You know what I mean?
If one pulls out, the other one has to pay the other one 10 million.
But I just think that it has to happen now, doesn't it? Unless there's some other freak accident, someone else's injured body. But I imagine the boys will be wrapping themselves up in cotton wool as much as possible. Although you can't completely do that because it's a fight game and we have to train hard and we have to spar. But they'll be taking a safety first approach. Fury maybe wearing full face guards to stop getting cut. Who knows? But I think the fight happens.
And also, that the guy that did it, the young Croatian, whose name I've forgotten, it was quite reckless. I was watching the clip of that, and obviously we know what's coming up because it's the clip of the cut. But he was quite low with his head. He was lunging quite a bit. So, which I don't see Usyk. I don't see Usyk trying to put the butt in. That makes no sense.
Not Usyk's style at all. He's a slick, smart, clever boxer. Maybe the kid was a southpaw and he was having a go. Who knows? Look, there needs to be context to it. It might have been Fury's 8th round, and it might have been the kid's second, and he's trying to put it on Fury. Who knows?
I think it was. I think it was late in the sparring session on that particular. It was in the morning. It was really early in the morning, Saudi time, so it was really early in Europe. But I think it was quite late into the session.
And Fury's may have, after 8 rounds or whatever he's had, may have been tiring. The kids wanting to impress, jumped in and trying to fight a style that he wasn't meant to fight. Who knows what's happening? Unless you're inside the team, we don't really know.
And by the way, whenever there's a zillion trillion rumours, that's when you start. As soon as there's more than 2 opinions on one thing in boxing, that's when you have to dismiss both of those opinions and go in search of the third. Once you find the third, you dismiss the third and go in search of the fourth. That's just the way it works. What I did like was that there was obviously class from Usyk once the cut had been discovered, filmed, documented, proved to be actually true, and the fight was instantly then moved back, postponed, and a new date was found quickly. What I did like particularly was that Usyk then went and did, I think, 10 rounds of sparring that afternoon.
Yeah, seen that.
Which I thought was brilliant.
I mean, what's not to like about Usyk? I mean, he's globally, universally.
You're in Tyson Fury land, so just keep that down a little bit.
I think even deep down, Tyson probably likes him.
He loves him. They're friends.
And I think you can see a great relationship between them two once the fighting's done and this game's over. But there's just Usyk. Fury's special too, but there's a wee bit of magic about Usyk, you know what I mean? Everything, the charisma and the lot.
Now we're going to get Tyson to be here at some point, and we'll speak to Tyson, and hopefully we'll speak to Frank Warren. If Frank Warren's train, he's also stuck on the same train as Josh Denzel. Once they arrive, we'll hopefully speak to them after the press conference. But let me try and throw you forward, Carl. Let's imagine it's the 13th, 14th, 15th of May. We're both in Riyadh. We're in Saudi Arabia for this showdown, this monumental, historic showdown. Not the Fury today. What type of Fury do you think we might get on that Wednesday at the open workout and the Thursday at the head-to-head press conference? Had you considered or thought about what type of Fury you might get?
I haven't really, but I'm thinking about it now, and I imagine he's going to be serious. We've seen a Fury against, remember his press conference when he fought his old mate Derek Chisora, and it was all a bit of fun and games and laughing and messing around.
Not dissimilar to the fight.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a more kind of regimental, strict
confrontation, or just
maybe not.
Serious?
Maybe just serious.
Okay.
Just serious. I don't know how confrontational he'll be. He may be confrontational. I think he's going to be very serious, though.
Because one thing we've talked about, and we've talked about this over the years, with when Anthony Joshua had those 2 fights with Oleksandr Usyk, and even when Tony Bellew had the fight with Oleksandr Usyk, and both Joshua and Bellew have offered up the same expression. Don't try and get in his head, because you can't get in Oleksandr Usyk's head. He's too trained in that old Eastern Bloc methodology. He's cold, he's calculating, he's a very warm character, don't get me wrong, as you said, who doesn't like him, but he's really clinical when it comes to fight time. So I'm just wondering, will Fury waste energy trying to get inside his head?
Maybe not. Fury's a smart man too. He may know that, but it's something that Fury does. He does try and rile his opponents. He does try and get under their skin,
and it works.
And it works for the most. But can he get under Usyk's skin? I'm not so sure. So you could be right. We could see a more subdued Fury in the approach to this fight.
We've seen from ringside, and we've watched it at the press conferences. I saw him get inside Dillian White's head. Dillian White will deny it, but it doesn't matter. I was up close and I saw that fight.
The big one's Klitschko. He done Klitschko, didn't he?
I mean, absolutely did Klitschko, and I was really. We're talking this close to that, and I could see there was almost a look in Klitschko's face, Carl. And he looked at his brother, which is a bad sign. If one of the Klitschkos looks at the other Klitschko, you know there's something wrong. And it was like, I don't like this guy. This guy's not biting. He wasn't. Klitschko did everything. He did high heels. He made himself as tall as possible. They had the weigh-in in private, so none of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Fury fans who travelled to Dusseldorf could get in.
Yeah.
It was in a private room, really heavy-handed security. So there was just about 24 people there, and they really tried to put it on Tyson on the stage, where it was all Klitschko's people. And I swear to you, Tyson wasn't happening. And I'm convinced there and then that Klitschko, panic's maybe not the right word, but he was definitely taken aback by it. Then we also,
I think one of the things was Klitschko never really had it before. Maybe he had it with people, but he's looking at these opponents and maybe thinking, do they actually believe what they're saying?
Nah,
but I think when he's looking at Fury,
he knew he did.
He knew he did believe it.
See, that run of Americans who he knew was soft. They might have had six packs, but they weren't chiseled inside. They weren't chiseled inside their hearts. And he knew what was going to happen in those fights. They could talk all they like at the press conference, deliver all they like before the press conference. Once it came down to it, they would be absolutely
Do you remember
hopeless.
the sauna conversation they had where I think Vladimir knew what Fury was talking about, but he acted like he didn't. And there was a Klitschko camp that Fury was in.
Yeah.
All the fighters were in the sauna, and they kept coming out of the sauna.
Yeah.
And Fury says, "I'm going to have a mental battle with Klitschko.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in here longer than him." And he says he did. Klitschko let on he didn't know what he was talking about, but I'm not so sure.
In all fairness, it would be hard to beat an Eastern European in a sauna contest.
I know.
I've tried a few in Estonia, and about the best I could do was get about 7th
Fury's
place.
almost killed himself just to get that win.
He was doing flyweight when he came out. but wait for it, a win's a win. It's as simple as that. No, listen, I hadn't heard that story, but I do know that when he was taken into camp, they didn't spar him. Right. That was the whole thing. Manny had him there to look at him. Yeah. So they sparred a bit with AJ, they sparred with a zillion other fighters, but they didn't spar with Fury. They just watched him. They monitored him, and he worked and
as
trained.
As a potential future opponent. That's clever, though, isn't it?
As a potential future opponent, also to try and get an indication of what made them tick and what pushed their buttons, and more importantly, with Fury, what didn't push his buttons. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't think anything pushes Tyson Fury's buttons. If Tyson Fury has any weaknesses, it's in his own head.
Yeah.
It's not what you can do to him, it's what he does to himself.
I think it's, absolutely. You know, there may be, we've seen in the past where he's blew up and he's put on incredible amounts of weight and he's been on the drink and stuff. Obviously, this is a new version of Tyson Fury, but to come from what he came from, to the position that he's in now,
the post-Vladimir condition.
Mentally he's got to be so strong, and I think that you're right. The only one that can get inside Tyson Fury's own head is himself.
Do you read anything into? It's a question I always ask fighters when they get. I asked you when you were fighting, and one of the questions I ask you when you come off the scales or come away from the head-to-head is, did you see anything in his eyes? Now, with Tyson, obviously we're not fighting him, but when we talk to him out in Saudi, will you be looking for any little signs, any little tells? Is there anything? Because you've been around him enough? Is there anything that you'd look for?
No, I don't know, and I think there's always too much taken. Look, the fight's still a day and a half away from the weigh-in, so I was always asked them questions. Yeah. It's nice to give a bit of a soundbite. Yeah, I've seen fear, I've seen this, but probably you see nothing. And I mean, if Fury puts his head down and doesn't look at him, or Usyk does the same, I'm not necessarily thinking that this guy's going to win the fight because that happened. I think it's always looked into too much.
Did you ever... Hold on a minute. Hold on. I believe the train's pulling into the station.
That's right.
Up and demoted. Hi, Josh. Good to see you, son. Good to see you.
Absolute pleasure, boys.
I have a sweaty hand, mate.
You nervous around John Fury? Is that what's happening?
Don't say it. No one's mentioning
that. We're keeping a voice. We're trying to make out it's Barry or someone else. Anyway, Josh, welcome.
Absolute pleasure. You know what? I'm buzzing to be. We're finally here. You know, it's been such a long time. So many stops and starts. I'm sure you've alluded to it.
No, we've actually just been talking about, I don't know, the shrimps, the beach, the weather. We've done no boxing chat already. Don't worry about that.
Perfect.
No boxing talk. If we've had small talk, now we're going to do some boxing talk.
That's beautiful. Now, boys, this is so monumental. You know what I mean? I was thinking about it on the train up. Obviously, Frank's there. You know, you look outside, the car park's actually packed full. All the media here, and you're like, this is what boxing's about. This is like the pinnacle of heavyweight boxing. Honestly, I remember like watching boxing with my dad and watching, you know what I mean? The back. I got the back end of Mike Tyson. I got the back end of Lennox, and now getting to see these boxers that I've grown up with. At the very pinnacle, about to become undisputed, and for me,
you almost feel lucky to be a part of it, don't you? It's that series of an event.
Yeah, exactly. This is what it's all about, and I think when you watch these fights, and you know, obviously respect to all the weight classes, but the heavyweight division is where it's at. It's the glamour division, and like having seen Tyson Fury come up when he's fighting, you know what I mean, relatively small hall shows. You know, I've been around AJ. I've got to watch Usyk in his first fight in the UK behind closed doors. Big fight, and you go behind closed doors against Chisora, and it's like this, and then to see it come to this, it's absolutely special.
Carl's absolutely right. There is a feeling that, you know, obviously we can talk about the fight, and we're here being paid. Let's get that right. But there is this other thing where you do feel a degree of privilege. You know, you have to stop yourself. You know, we've been up all day, Carl and I, just floating around the town, having a cup of tea here and a cup of coffee here, and you just get this sort of sense of just how special he is, the fighter, and the event is. And you have to I do it all the time. I tell this story back when I go to Vegas. Every time I get off the plane in Vegas, 60 odd times, and every time before I leave the airport, you have to pinch yourself. Remind yourself that you're being paid to sit 3 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot, 9 foot from a ring with 20,000 people behind you, basically. That's the truth, isn't it? And that'll be the case in Saudi. There'll be 22,000 people, and we'll be in a position where we can touch the canvas. That's privilege.
No, it's massive privilege, and you can't forget that. And this is like, you know, we're in Vegas or Morecambe. Do you know what I mean? That's what boxing does.
It's easy to confuse the two.
Easy to confuse the two. Do you know what I mean? But it's like this. Boxing will bring a level of pronunciation. It'll bring Vegas to Morecambe, and that's how special it is. And we get to go to these fights, and I see you boys. You boys, if I'm row 2, you're row 1. Let's get it right. And you could just, the atmosphere in the building, and the fact that it's in Saudi, and the fact that they've held some huge fights as well, and the atmosphere's building, the way they put on the shows is incredible, and I'm glad that it's happening now.
That's what I'm really interested in. You look at what happened in the Fury and Ngannou fight, like the production and the setup and the music acts, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if that's what happened for that fight, now you've got the Undisputed. What's going to happen here? I think it's I mean, I'm buzzing about it.
It seems to be
can't see it. It has to be spectacular, and I think it will be.
I mean, this for the first time in since 2000, we're going to have an undisputed heavyweight. It's the first time in a 4-belt era.
First time in a 4 belts,
They're going to do something special, and every time we go, we always leave. And we're on that flight out of Saudi the day after, and you haven't slept. It's probably 6 a.m. and your head's baffled because you go, what more can they do?
Well, they'll find something. They'll find it, and you're right about it. Let's just point now. It's just Tyson's about to come in. We actually go when we fly home. We leave the venue at 4:35 and go straight to the airport and fly. So when we're getting on a plane, 2.5 hours earlier, we were leaving ringside. That's the way it works.
Here's the big man.
Big lads here.
He looks in incredible shape.
He looks like
he does. He really does.
Like we thought he would look.
Yeah. I think it is night and day, it seems.
Until you see him in the flesh and you've seen these pictures, you're kind of thinking, are they edited a little bit? But now I'm looking at him here, I don't think they are.
No, that's a very slim looking face. That is genuinely a very slim looking face, Josh.
Do you think that fight with Ngannou was a bit of a wake-up call? Because you've sat with him on a round table and he's gone 5-week camp for him, a 5-week camp for him, and maybe actually he did have a 5-week camp for Ngannou, and it did look like it. But today, I mean,
you can have a 10-week camp. But if you don't engage your head, you might as well have a 10-day camp. Remember that. Yeah. Bear that in mind. And I think he might have had a 10-week camp, but he wasn't engaged. It's as simple.
Listen, if you have everybody and their granny saying it's going to be an easy fight,
a walkover,
you start to believe out yourself, and I think that's all that happened.
And it's hard to get into Tyson's head, but do you think all the media and like almost a backlash, I guess it was, from maybe boxing pundits and boxers saying that, well, listen, he shouldn't be struggling in fights like this. If he fights an Usyk, he might really be in trouble.
Well, listen, just quickly before we go to this, I actually think he got off quite lightly after that fight, because we all just put it down to him.
Welcome wherever you are joining us around the world, and for those celebrating, Eid Mubarak to all of those celebrating. Welcome to Morecambe here in Lancashire. Welcome to the Mazuma Stadium. And of course, this is the home of the mighty Morecambe FC and the hometown of the mighty Gypsy King, sat there, the WBC and lineal world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. We are now just under 40 days away from the biggest fight of Tyson Fury's career so far, the Undisputed fight, the fight of the century. On May 18th, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as part of Riyadh calendar, there is an iconic, unforgettable event taking place in the iconic capital city. The unified world heavyweight champion Oleksandr Usyk puts his WBA, WBO and IBF heavyweight titles on the line against this man here, the WBC and long-reigning lineal heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. The two will finally collide in a ring of fire. Well, joining us here today are some key players in that event who are making this happen. Some of them are the movers and shakers. Some of them will be doing the fighting, of course. I'm delighted to be joined by Hall of Fame boxing promoter Frank Warren of Queensberry Promotions. We have perhaps the hardest working manager in all of boxing right now, Spencer Brown of Gold Star, and perhaps the sweetest man in boxing in SugarHill at the end of the table as well, all with the champion. Now, we're going to hear from everyone up here very, very shortly, but of course, before that, we need to say thank you to those in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia who are making these incredible events right now possible. So firstly, let's say thank you to the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. And of course, let's say thank you to the chairman of the General Entertainment Authority in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. Okay, well, let's get going. Tyson, I just want to start with you. You are the reason that we are here. We are now, as I mentioned, under 40 days away from the fight, the undisputed fight, the fight of the century. You look in great shape. Is it all systems go?
Before I start, I just want to say a massive shout out to Turki Al-Sheikh and all of everyone who's working in Saudi Arabia. Eid Mubarak to all you guys, and have a fantastic day. And the answer to your question is, yeah, I'm training hard, obviously. I'm in fantastic shape, obviously, and I've got a massive fight coming up, obviously. So I think there's no room for error. There's no room for not training right or any problems, so we just got to get through it. And 40 days out, I'm feeling fantastic. I know all. Actually, I'm having a fantastic training camp and got a good team around me, and everything's going to plan. No complaints. Working very hard. Got my dad in camp this time, so got my secret weapon over there as well. I got Ty Mitchell in. I got all the boys, all the girls are in camp. So we've got a full circus camp. So yeah, can't do any more really.
It was heartbreak when the fight was postponed initially. How long did it take you to get over that and get going again?
At first, I was a little bit depressed for the first day or so, but afterwards, like all things in life, I realised God's timing is impeccable, perfect. It's not late, it's not early, but it's bang on time. So it wasn't my time to fight for the championship then, but it is going to be my time on May the 18th, so I'm really preparing fantastic for it.
Well, let's bring in Frank Warren. a historic moment on May 18th in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is going to be quite the event, and this man looks ready to go here.
He does, and I want to echo as well our thanks to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, and all the team who've made this happen, and all the team here at the table who've made it happen. And it will happen on the 18th. We've got the biggest fight of the 21st century taking place. It's never happened before, 4 belts on the line. And we're going to find out who the best heavyweight in the world is. I've got my views, and I know my views are going to be right, but it's going to be something special, something extra special. And these things come along, once, well, certainly in this case, on this occasion, once in a century up to us yet. So a special fight with 2 special undefeated fighters, 2 undefeated fighters, and the world is going to see who is the best.
I'm the best. I'm just defending my bestness against him.
The lineal champion and WBC champion fighting for the other 3 belts.
And you know what, Frank, yeah? I read a lot of comments, people saying, there's 4 belts. Let's just get this one clear right now. There's a lot more than 4 belts on the line. You got IBO, IBF, WBO, WBA, WBC, Ring Magazine and Lineal. So for all you motherfuckers out there thought it was 4, correct here in this historic event.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not.
It's 8. Because there is the 8.
Oh, the Riyadh season belt. Yeah, you've corrected. I stand corrected.
I was 1.
8.
Right.
So it's 8 belts in one fight. That's got to be a record.
Yeah, it has, without a doubt.
Sure.
You have to get another cabinet,
I'm going to have to, for sure.
Let's bring in Spencer Brown. You've been all around the country with Tyson Fury in terms of the tours that you used to do, the speaking tours, and now you're his manager as well, this next stage of his career. What are you seeing from this man heading into this fight?
I'm seeing a man who's on a mission. He's never looked so good in the last couple of years. And what I'm hearing from the camp, I'm not there every day to watch everything and to see everything, but everybody's telling me he's in fantastic shape, great order. He's brought his dad in, and it's very important to have your family around him. I think he'll agree with that. The sugar, it's very good buzz about the camp, which is fantastic.
Well, let's ask SugarHill on this. I mean, you are with Tyson Fury all the time now as well. Since the cut, how have things been? Have you had to kind of calm down a bit on the sparring? Like, how does it work? Do you readdress everything?
For me, it's just watching him day to day. He hasn't really let down since the end of the last training camp before the cut. And I guess pretty much for me, one of the hardest things is watching out for these kind of camps when the fighter is totally ready to go, and just kind of pacing him to keep him ready and not overdoing it. So it's not that difficult, but you just have to watch. You just have to watch the fighter. The fighter will tell you everything if you watch him.
And how does he compare at this point to what he did leading up to the Francis Ngannou fight?
You know what? I believe the Francis Ngannou fight was just him having so much time off and not being mentally focused as he is for this one here. He was still ready for the fight. It's just a different mentality when you go in there with at this level for everything, something that he's been waiting for so long. I don't want to say you dream of these things, but these are the things that actually can drive you to be a better person and to bring out your best.
Spencer, and this is a question for everyone really, were you surprised with some of the comments that came from the Usyk camp? I think Alex Krasik was actually advising you, Tyson, to retire as well. Did this cause surprise?
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? Because they've got a mountain to climb to get through and a mountain to chip away at. And it's not going to be easy for them at all. They've played the game. We've had a few comments from them in the past. Tyson very quickly and very swiftly dealt with that, and I think when he cut his eye, we dealt with it very well, very quickly. We all spoke and got the date done. So there was nothing too much to moan about. But he's got to go through a mountain, Usyk, and I wouldn't like to face this mountain, that's for sure.
Well, Tyson, at the launch press conference where you faced off with Oleksandr Usyk, he didn't say a lot at that press conference. Do you think that's him holding back, or he doesn't want to get involved? What is it?
He doesn't speak English, for one, so he speaks a little bit of English, but it's very difficult to speak to a encyclopedia in boxing who speaks fluent English when you speak broken English. So I don't think you're ever going to get a foreigner sitting up here with me. You get any American, any British fight I've ever fought in nearly 20 years as boxing, no one has ever competed with me on speaking, so especially not some foreign man who speaks broken English. As for all the stuff their camp said and all that, you know, this is show business, this is entertainment, this is everything. So if they don't talk about what's going on, then people lose interest and yada, yada, yada. Game, you ain't going to make it. There's a heavyweight in here, yeah, who's on his rise. And my advice to him is talk tons of smack the whole way. That's how people notice you. And then, when they notice you, then you can show them your skills and do what you got to do. And that's how it's done. And as for like all of Usyk's team, they're all lovely, decent people, I think. I saw his manager over in Saudi recently. I was just having a bit of fun with him, but I've shook his hand, and he's a nice fella, you know. He's doing the best he can for his man, which, you know, Frank, Spencer, all my team are doing the best they can for their man. So, and if you don't, but as for like, I've seen some stuff in the media that this is really personal between me and Oleksandr Usyk. It's not personal. It's strictly business for both fighters, you know. There's a lot of stuff on the line and all that, but I don't hate him. He don't hate me. He's a good husband, good God-fearing man, so I respect him as a man, as a fighter. He's undisputed cruiserweight champion. He's unified heavyweight champion, so anyone would have to respect the man's achievements. Good fighter, you know. I've got a tough challenge in front of me, but I'm very confident in my ability, and I'm very confident that I'll beat the guy. Or even long-reigning lineal champions like Vladimir Klitschko. After I beat him, everyone beat them. So please don't say that Oleksandr Usyk's shit after I beat him. My personal opinion is we have weight divisions for a reason, and me being an encyclopedia on boxing, and I've studied every heavyweight cruiserweight that's ever lived, when the cruiserweights step up to the big boys, usually they get found wanting. And even the greatest cruiserweights that's ever lived, Evander Holyfield, when he stepped up to the big boys in Big Daddy Bowl and it's Lewis, he was found wanting. You can beat the average big ones, but you can't beat the elite big ones, because size really matters. And we have weight divisions for a reason. And he's going to be found wanting when he fights me on May the 18th. Even if you look at David Hay, he was an explosive, good cruiserweight and good heavyweight. And when he fought average heavyweights, he could beat them. But when he stepped up to the big boy in Klitschko, it wasn't really a contest. We look at Thomas Adamek. He was a good light heavyweight, good cruiserweight. He beat some good average heavyweights, good world contender heavyweights, stepped up to the big boys, beat. So I expect the same from Oleksandr, to be fair. Who was the other one? Sultan Ibragimov. He was Olympic silver medalist. He was 20-0. He was world... I think he beat Shannon Briggs for the world championship. And he was found wanting against Vladimir Klitschko at Madison Square Garden. So I could just keep going on and on and on and on. Let's use Johnny Nelson, for instance. Johnny was he was an undefeated cruiserweight when he was cruiserweight, but every time he stepped up heavyweight, he got bashed. So there is... It's facts. It's facts. I'm not slagging anybody off, but what I'm saying is these are facts. And if anybody wants to go check my boxing history, go do it. I've studied this game all my life, and you cannot prove it wrong. This is my time, my destiny, my era, and my generation. Facts.
Let's talk a little bit of tactics. Let's bring in SugarHill here. Sugar, from your perspective, the other heavyweights who have tried to beat Oleksandr Usyk, Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, Derek Chisora, Chaz Witherspoon, all of these guys...
Limited ability.
But what did they do wrong?
Limited.
What did they do wrong?
Ability. They tried the best with their own ability, but it's very limited, and Sugar will take over.
There's not really much for me to say with Tyson, knowing it all. So, no, but just listen. Oleksandr Usyk, like Tyson said, is a great champion. Cruiserweight, he's won all these fights in his life. And a lot of it is due to his athleticism and things of that nature. But he can think, so he's able to outthink these guys. Whereas they may come in and think one or two things, he's thinking 3 and 4. So Tyson is the same way. Tyson's thinking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's one of those chess matches. But I definitely agree with Tyson. He's the bigger man. The bigger skilled man, and you have a smaller man with those same skills, or we'll just say with the same skills, and that big man's going to win all day, yeah.
And also, look, everybody underestimates Tyson's punching power. Everybody, I don't understand why. I mean,
I don't know about everybody. Wilder don't, does he?
He doesn't. No, but I'm talking about, you talk about a lot of people, and they just don't seem to understand it. And you're right, everybody who does get stepped in the ring, they find out about it. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's going to be another telling point in this fight, a big telling point for him.
I've got a fun fact. Everybody who was supposed to be a non-puncher in my career has given me trouble. And everybody who was supposed to be a dynamite puncher have been But I've been put over by a few non-punchers, Dad, haven't I? Noted non-punchers have put me over before, but the big uns, the big punchers in history, I've been found wanting to keep me nailed down. So that's a little bit of a fun fact for everybody.
Another fact, a non-puncher is a very durable man as well. He definitely got cast.
That's the fact. That's the fact. And he's definitely a tough man, isn't he?
Big puncher, weak jaw. Don't take it as well.
Yeah.
Well, Big John suggesting that Usyk has potentially a weak jaw. Frank?
No.
No?
You need to get your facts right, Tim. He's got a cast iron jaw.
Yep.
All that. No, but if he's a big puncher, look, Nigel Benn.
Yeah.
Weak round the tash, all the big ones. Who's the other one?
There's been loads of them, haven't there?
Been loads.
And I put that to, they're putting that much effort into knocking someone out. Leave themselves open to a counter, crack. Where the man who don't punch as much is using his boxing and moving, and he's not leaving himself wide open to getting knocked out.
Exactly.
Frank, you've talked about an Achilles heel for Oleksandr Usyk as well. Do you want to tell us more about that?
No, I've sort of looked at a lot of his fights going back to the amateur days, and he is a bit of a crybaby when it comes to getting caught to the body. He cries to the referee a lot, and for me that always was, if you want to use the phrase, an Achilles heel or an Achilles body. That's what it is, and he doesn't like it.
Factual that is as well, because the only time he's been put over is with body shots.
Yeah.
Beterbiev dropped him with a body shot,
yeah.
And I think it was the Polish guy. What was the Polish cruiserweight called? Was he called Goblacki or something like that? Something like that. I think he dropped him with a body shot as well.
Yeah.
So Frank's definitely correct there.
And I've sort of looked at that, and I looked at that before we made the fight with Dubois, and Dubois definitely hurt him to the body, irrespective of what went on. He doesn't like it to the body, that's for sure. And for me, the biggest exponent of exploiting a boxer's weakness is the professor here, and that's what he does. He finds that if anybody's going to exploit it, it'll be Tyson. He's got the mental capacity to do that and keep doing what he has to do. And I know people have asked about predictions. That I genuinely believe that Tyson will win this fight in an explosive style.
And is that because we talked about size earlier as well? Is that because he's going to be so much bigger? Can you give us a bit more colour on the prediction?
I think he is. I mean, you only got to look at both of them. He is bigger, but the other guy, he's been a heavyweight for 3 years. Mm-hmm. So he's grown into that. He's grown into it. He's carrying the weight, and obviously, if you're struggling at cruiserweight, he's going to be more comfortable. But he's dealing with somebody, as Tyson said himself, is natural. He's a naturally big guy. He's like, in some ways, like Usyk, that they got very good boxing brains. But I just think Tyson is the best heavyweight in the world. There's no doubt about that. And everyone's going to talk about the last fight. Good fighters on an off night win fights. They don't see. He's not sitting here today saying it was an off night and that's why I got beat. He had an off night and he won. And that's what good fighters do. They come through it, and he come through it, and he is, in my opinion, in my lifetime in boxing, since I've been doing this, he's been the best at it. He's been involved in the best heavyweight fight I've ever seen live, which was that third fight, without a doubt. Yeah. And now, against Wilder, who, by the way, Wilder was undefeated heavyweight champion for 6 years and the biggest puncher. And you look at his boxing brain, Tyson's boxing brain, that second fight, worked it out, what he needed to do, and absolutely done a job. And that's what he does. That's why he's such an intelligent, good, super good fighter. And I genuinely do believe this other fella, by the way, he's not, he's no good fighter, yeah. He's not just showing up. He probably feels in his heart he may have seen a couple of flaws in Tyson's last performance, and he'll be working on that, no doubt about it, like any fighter would do. But at the end of the day, he's in with somebody who is extra special, and I think we're going to see an explosive, extra special fight.
Well, Tyson, we know when it comes to critics, you don't listen. It's water off a duck's back. But I want to bring in Spencer here because you're having to see people criticise Tyson Fury, say some outrageous stuff out there as well. Yeah, I mean, how do you take to that?
It's when you're personally involved with somebody, it's a bit upsetting, and it can get really on your nerves. And but like Tyson says to me, just ignore it. It's water off a duck's back. But I mean, I watched yesterday. I don't know, 20 or 30 different people with different opinions. This fight is causing massive different opinions for everybody. It's going to be so much of a spectacular. What they've got planned for this fight is the fight. We've got a great undercard. It's going to be spectacular. And I mean, they've even brought their own song out today, the Ring of Fire song. So if you're on the internet, have a look at it. It's unbelievable. They're pushing all the boats out for this fight. It will be tremendous, fantastic, stupendous. It will be unbelievable. And Turki Al-Sheikh and his team have done such a good job, and they do really think a lot of Tyson. They love him. So
no doubt about that.
Honestly, the relationship he's got with Turki Al-Sheikh is second to none. He was the first one through the door, and he'll probably be the last one out the door. So there's a line that they want to follow, and there's they want to get more fights to come. And Tyson's mentioned them, but we go one fight at a time. I think Oleksandr Usyk might have underestimated Tyson a little bit on that last performance. But if you see him in the gym, his punch power, everything's gone up. He looks out of this world. He really does. Fantastic shape. He's very focused on this fight, which I've noticed a lot. Really focused. So we'll see on the night, and we'll see who wins, and we'll see what everybody's got to say then. All the great boxers and pundits and all these people who are, what I've seen, a lot of them don't give Tyson a chance. I don't know where they're coming from on that last performance. But let's see what they've got to say afterwards.
Hopefully they get chinding around then, eh?
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying. That's what they're all... some of them I'm quite amazed. But let's see afterwards. And like Tyson said, it's a boxing match. The best man will win, and we'll shake hands afterwards.
I think if I didn't train at all for this camp, I just come in at like 25 stone and sank maybe 15 pints of Peroni beforehand, and the next day, going there, what's he going to do? Jib and jab me around? Do you know what I mean? Listen, take nothing away with him, but he couldn't do anything without Chisora. We all saw that fight, and let's not be eluded with him. Yeah. It was a 50-50 fight, could have won either way. So not unless he's come on at 38, 39-year-old in the last over 2 years, like leaps and bounds.
And I thought the Joshua fights were very close as well. I thought the Joshua fights were very close. He came out with a lot of marks, and
the second fight, the
second fight especially.
Yeah.
So,
and the other thing is, you're saying 15 Peronis. You're on the Furiosity now.
Yeah,
so
but there's no alcohol in that, Frank.
Got no chance.
So if I'm going in for a real ding-dong, I need at least 15 pints of Peroni. At least.
Tyson, I was watching an interview with Oleksandr Usyk the other day, and he said that Vladimir Klitschko has reached out and given him some advice. But
that'd be handy advice, how to lose to the Gypsy King. How can Vlad, my old pal Vlad, give anybody any advice? Because he would have used it himself only if he had any advice or any idea how to beat me.
it was an absolute one-sided boxing lesson I give to old Vlad. And I believe Vlad was a very good champion, just like this guy is.
The best of his generation.
And I said, if I can't beat old Vlad, I must be useless. And I'll say it again. If I can't beat Usyk, I'm no good, clearly. That's your headline. If Tyson Fury can't beat Usyk, Tyson's no good. End of. I'm not going to pull any punches. It is what it is. If I can't beat Usyk, I'm no good. Say I'm no good. And then I'll get a rematch with him and say I'm no good again if I lose again. What more is there to do? But if I beat him, I beat another man. Great. Fantastic. On to the next one.
But if you do beat him, you get all those belts you talked about, the 8 belts, the Undisputed. What will that mean?
Yeah, I'll add them to the 25 I've already got, shall I? I've actually promised His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh that when I win all these belts, I give every one to him as a present.
Let's get a final predictions from... look, everyone's going to pick Tyson Fury to win, but give us a bit of colour on it. SugarHill, how's this fight going to play out?
Knockout.
Simple.
Yeah.
Early, late?
Don't know.
Okay.
Just when it happens. Knockout.
May 18th, we'll find out. Spencer?
Knockout.
Okay.
8. Within 8.
Okay, we've got a round out of Spencer. Let's see if we'll get a round out of Frank Warren.
I think you should ask his dad as well.
We'll bring in Big John Fury. Frank, let me just get it from yourself first.
Knockout.
Knockout. You're going to give me a round like?
When he catches him, he'll go.
Big John, what do you think?
Chess match. It's going to be a boxing match between two Greek technicians. Could end up a bit of a boring fight to watch because that's what they do. And I think Tyson.
Buy your tickets here.
Yeah, get your tickets here, guys.
We've reduced the tickets now, so.
Buy one, get one free.
You've got to land that big punch. You know what I'm saying? You can sit here with a gun and you don't need it. You're not going to hit anything. Okay? That's what I'm saying is, it'll be a great boxing match between two top technicians, and Tyson being the bigger man. I reckon I'll see him being stopped around about 10 or 11 rounds. But before that, a great, masterful boxing match where both men get tagged, both men probably get nailed. But what it's going to come down to is what we thrive on, and that's what's between his legs at the end of it. And I don't think no man, the master that he has down there, he'll pull it up and he'll find the win in an exciting boxing chess match fight. But there will be some thrilling moments.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much, John.
And I'm going to go for Usyk tonight.
There you go. We've got everyone's predictions, including Tyson's very curious prediction there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're going to do some photos down the front, and we'll see you May 18th for the big one.
Lovely.
Wow. Great to hear from the big man. Delighted to be back joined by Bunsey and Carl. Boys, what did you make of that?
Well, it was a press conference.
Yeah.
And we were brought all the way to Morecambe, which is a great place.
Yeah.
And I thought we might... I mean, it was perfectly good knockabout fun stuff. And I love the stuff about the eye.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for and I'm going to fight AJ in November.
Yeah.
We didn't. In the end, it was all good knockabout stuff. And I liked the way he looked.
I like
what SugarHill said.
Yeah.
And there was I don't know about you. I know he was trying to make it funny, Tyson, but there was quite a seriousness in him.
Serious, especially at the start. Yeah. I think he's on it, and you can see in his appearance that he's definitely in shape. We've still a long way to go to this fight as well, so he's probably going to be in better shape, I imagine, by the time the fight comes around. But we didn't get too much out of it.
Yeah, I think when he called for a press conference rather than your kind of bog standard media days, I think the boxing world kind of held their breath. They were thinking, right, is this an announcement?
This is my last fight.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And you start swirling, but obviously being here and hearing him speak and how positive he is about this fight, and I just feel like maybe he wanted to get a few things off his chest, maybe.
Yeah, they're so cold. They're doing a lot. Everybody in the Tyson Fury business is doing a lot about all our critics and all our knockers and all our this and all our that. Well, I've got to be honest with you, I don't see hundreds of knockers. I see a couple of people that have become professional knockers.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said earlier on, I think he got off light after the Ngannou fight. We just said, he had a bad day. I don't know what you feel about that, Carl.
Yeah, I think. There's probably a little bit of criticism going from the performances pre Ngannou, where it was been universal praise, and then you get a bit of criticism. It's probably just hurt him a bit, hurt his ego or whatever. But look, he's a sensible man, and he's. I think he thinks rationally as well. Yeah. He understands that just wasn't a far from a vintage Tyson Fury.
That does happen in boxing. You see fighters have an off night.
And Frank Warren had a great line. He said, good fighters have an off night and win.
Yeah,
they don't have a good night. They don't have a bad night and then make excuses. And I'll tell you one thing that was interesting. And you heard it there from John Fury. We probably didn't pick it up on our mic because he was off mic. Yeah. But him saying, this is going to be a chess match. Yeah, it might be boring. Then they all made a joke on the top table about, thanks for selling tickets, John. But so I think John was talking, an awful lot of truth. And he was also doing, before the fight was called off, he was saying, I don't like what I'm seeing in the gym. This was in January. I don't like what I'm seeing in the gym. He's being hit with more punches than he's ever been hit with before. That was John Fury talking about 3 weeks before the fight was pulled off. That's fact.
It's really interesting that John has kind of been brought back into camp to give advice and help. And
that does show that maybe some things weren't clicking. But we see with Tyson Fury that he's much more willing to stand and trade and to plant his feet under Sugar, and maybe that also means you lose a little bit of that elusivity that he had.
Well, that could definitely happen.
Yeah, but I think I think the style that he has to employ is an aggressive one. Yeah. We know that Usyk's going to move. He's not going to stand and try and fight Tyson. I think that, and we'll talk to him about this as well. I think I always feel like he gets a bit of a. Maybe the credit isn't right in terms of people saying, Fury will win because he's bigger. There's more to Tyson Fury than just being a big man. He can really box. He can really fight. He gets up off the deck when he gets put down. I mean, I think it's slightly disrespectful just to say his size wins in the fight.
Because he's big.
So are you thinking we'll see more of the Fury that we saw in the second
Wilder
fight, the rematch, the original one in Vegas, when he said what he was going to do, no one believed him, and he came out and did it exactly.
I think so. I think we see an aggressive style. I think you look at kind of Klitschko-esque style, hit, hold, push down, lie on him, really make the smaller man blow, and he's going to target the body. They've talked about the body. They see it as a weakness, and no doubt about it, Usyk has been hurt to the body. He does complain a lot when he gets hit the kind of borderline body shots.
We had a long discussion about that after the Dubois fight.
I think that they'll be targeting the body from the start. From the first round, Tyson will be banging them into the body.
But he's notoriously not an easy man to catch, to lie on, to hold. He's got to get hold of him first.
Also, Carl, it's quite hard. It's harder. I mean, you'd never fought anybody that was 5 inches shorter than you, did you? And I mean that nice. No. There's not a punchline coming up. There's no joke coming up. You never fought anybody that was 5 or 6 inches shorter.
They weren't allowed. When they're 5 inches shorter, they were too young.
There's a height limit. It's like when you go on a roller coaster. You had to be this tall to fight Carl Frampton.
He still struggles at Alton Towers.
There's no need for that. That's the second shortest.
No, you're not that much bigger than me, George. No, not on me.
He's got the platforms on behind him.
Anyway, look, quite seriously, I mean, landing a good body shot on Usyk, right, when you're 6'9" and he's down to about 6'2", that's quite difficult, because there's not a lot to go for. There's not a lot of.
I know what you mean, but I think it's easier to hit. Look, there is, we say vulnerabilities. If it's the first time if Usyk gets his body, he's going down. It's not like that, but not. It's easier to hit his body than his head.
Yeah, it's easier somewhere from the shoulders to the waist.
And I think from the start, from the first bell, Tyson will be on the front foot. He'll be fighting at a high pace, and I think he's going to target the body.
But we also saw after that round where Usyk got hurt to the body, whether it was low or on the button, whatever it may be. But he got up and he won the rest of the round, and from there he looked like he kicked on.
Hold on 1 second, Josh.
I have a very special message from His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Turki Al Sheikh, and I'm going to put him to the mic.
Hello everybody. Hello Frank. Hello Champ. Hello Spencer. Hello Coach. We are ready in Riyadh and we are waiting. I will come tomorrow to London. This is the biggest fight ever. All the world waiting for 25 years now. And we will see in the 18th of May in Riyadh the Undisputed Fighters winner. Tomorrow will come with the belt And I am ready, and all the kingdom is ready, and all the world will see the biggest fight ever. Today, we will start the campaign for the pay-per-view and the ticket and the song of the fight. And there is a lot of surprise. Tyson know what is in my mind and the map for us together.
Yes.
We want Tyson for 5, 7, 10 fights more.
You talk.
He know.
You talk.
You know. You are the most beautiful diamond in the boxing fighters. You know how I see you. You know how I see you. And from my position, I need to be in the position fair between you and Usyk, and have a good fight.
Yeah.
But you know what you have in my heart.
Yes, I know.
I see you one of the best fighters in the generation, and I am thinking we will have big relationship next in boxing field.
Perfect.
You know, you are now the most expensive fighter in the century.
Turkey, HMRC might be listening. Stop.
I will not tell the numbers, but you know how much you get for each fight.
Yes.
And you deserve it.
Thank you very much, my brother. I really appreciate you.
And we are waiting. And we are waiting. And I miss your father a lot. Say to him hi.
Yeah.
And your family, and take care until the fight.
Good luck, and I'll see you soon, brother. I'll see you soon.
We will surprise the world. We'll surprise the world.
100%.
Me and my generation, this is the first Undisputed. We see it live because I was young when the last Undisputed. I am not like Frank. He see 4 or 5 times Undisputed fight.
I remember.
See you. You know, I respect the English fighters, and I see the English fighters as the best fighters in the world.
Get on!
Thank you so much, and see you in the 18th of May, and see you, Frank and Spencer, soon, tomorrow or after tomorrow in London, inshallah.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow,
Thanks,
brother.
Turkey. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and Eid Mubarak.
Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh. 5 to 7 more fights he wants to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's good, isn't it?
There's your
That's
headline.
exciting. If we 5, 7, or 10, they went as far as
5,
10.
7 or 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we didn't see. Tyson Fury didn't miss a beat. I mean, he just said, "Get up, let's go."
Yeah.
Listen, let's get close. Previous to today, I know it sounds like the end of Lost. Previous to today, they've had that conversation. He's been told face to face, probably as long ago as last October, there will be 10 more fights. You know it. That wasn't the first time he'd heard 5, 7 or 10.
He's heard it. No way.
They kind of mentioned about the money. I know how much you're getting paid. I'd love to know as well.
Hey,
I wonder, can he laminate a few quid?
Imagine if he didn't let it slip then. You know? That would have been brilliant.
That would have been, like you said, I don't think HMRC would have been too happy with Tyson. But I mean, he has said, he is show business, Tyson Fury. Not only does he sell tickets, he creates incredible entertainment. You know, on the biggest stage. I mean, he is worth the money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the eyes that are going to be on this event is amazing, and Fury and the majority of people probably still see him as a #1 heavyweight on the planet. I certainly do, and I think that the #1 heavyweight on the planet deserves the most money. That's just the way the game works, isn't it, Bunty?
Pleasure, delighted. We're joined by Frank. There we go. Yeah, we managed to make it. We're on the train up together. Frank, here you go.
How are you, mate?
So Frank,
before we go anywhere, this man would have made it, whoever was promoting him, because he's a great fighter.
Oh, thank you, Frank. We know what you're talking about.
Let's go.
Now, Frank, 5 to 7 more fights. We just had a little discussion about that. Or 10. It's such an incredible number. You know, almost disbelief. Are you ready for that? Have you got that in the locker?
Listen, let's get the first one out of the way. But that's how it is. I mean, that's how the love is, and you know, the respect that His Excellency's got for, as you said, British boxers, and certainly for Tyson. And he wants to keep seeing him keep seeing him fighting. He's got a tough fight. This is the biggest fight of the century.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm involved in it, which is brilliant. And I say that because it hasn't happened. We've been trying to get these heavyweights together for many, many years, all of us, and it's not worked out. And it's taken the Riyadh season and this special event that's been delayed, which has been put, on the 18th now coming on, and it's going to be a special night in boxing, not just in boxing, in world sport.
Yeah.
Because whoever is I hate to say this, having given him a lot of praise, and he's a great fighter, but the blue ribbon division has always been the heavyweights. The heavyweight, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world has always been one of the most famous people on the planet, and that's what's going to happen on the 18th. That's where it's going to go.
You talked about the size of the fight being the biggest of the 21st century, which I completely agree with. But, I mean, the 4 belts on the line, the undisputed champion is going to be declared after this. You got to be going back to the Thriller in Manila, the Rumble in the Jungle. Yeah. These are the sort of fights of that magnitude. It's
and
absolutely monstrous.
Backdrop helps as well. Yeah.
And looking at that, the fights you mentioned involved American boxers, and all these fights didn't take place in America. They went to
in American time as well, Frank. So they took place at 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
The point I'm making is that it took that to make them happen back in those days, and it's taken Riyadh and His Excellency and his team to really force the issue on this and get it over the line. So we're seeing modern day history in boxing, and it will be a good fight. They're both undefeated. You look at the pedigree of Usyk, from his amateur, everything he's won as an amateur. Probably the best cruiserweight of his generation, no doubt about that. And he's come up and beaten not once, on 2 occasions, beaten AJ, who was a lot of people considered was one of the best heavyweights, if not the best heavyweight out there, and done it and done it as a massive underdog.
Frank, could I ask you, to go back to that first question about the 5, 7 or 10 fights? It is true though, isn't it, Frank? You're not on the stand here. It is true though, isn't it, Mr. Warren, that when you are discussing fights out there in Saudi Arabia, you are planning 4, 5 and 6 and 7 shows in advance. That's the impression I get.
Well, that's there's a lot to that. There is. I mean, I've never been so busy at my age, but it is, and look, they have a massive budget for the Riyadh season. That's what makes these events happen. Possible. We could never put these type of events on. I'm talking about an overall like that, because it just financially wouldn't stand up for us. But because of what it's part of, it works. And these shows are just tremendous. The undercards are, every fight on the undercard is a main event in its own right.
And the size of this fight and the magnitude of this fight, obviously the undercard is top quality, but you don't even need to have an undercard for it, do you? Really? No one could be a standout.
It's that, and you get a couple of those people. I see some of it, it's minor criticism, but why would anybody even go there with that? You've got what you've all been asking for, what everybody's been asking for. Yeah. When is there going to be a unification of all the belts? And that's it. And the rest of it is just, it's just like a major bonus what you're getting. But the main event is what we've all been talking about. Everybody in the sport, outside the sport, those people in the streets say, oh, there's so many belts, I don't know who the real champion is. You know what, on the 18th, you're going to know who the real champion is.
Frank, does it feel like you're making history here? Because I think when this was called, we were talking to the boys before, and it was like there's another press conference supposed to be immediately. The world was holding their breath collectively. We're seeing Tyson up here in a fantastic mood. We pray that nothing happens. Does it feel like when that bell goes, history will be made?
It will be, and all of us are involved in this, and there's a lot of people involved in this, to help make this happen and make it, as I say, as a special event, as part of the Riyadh season. History's been created, and we're all in our small ways and big ways. We're all part of it. But the 2 boxers are the guys who are getting in there. They're the ones who are going to determine what the history is going to be. There's going to be a winner. There's going to be a loser. Who's it going to be? It's got everything you could want. 2 undefeated fighters, the best 2 heavyweights, bar none, out there at the moment, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out who is the best, who's got the bragging rights, who's going to be the guy.
Frank, is there any sense from sitting next to him where he is, at what stages. I mean, you've been around him for a lot of fights. I've got an opinion on it from 15 feet away. I want yours from 3 feet away.
Nobody training for a fight wants to get injured, and they certainly don't want to get cut in sparring. It's one of the worst things that you can have. But very quickly, the date was rescheduled. His eye looks really well. It could be, and I think it will be, a blessing in disguise, because he's going into a camp where he was at the end of his sparring, so he's fit, he's well, so he's had to have a few weeks off, obviously, because he was peaking. He's now back in serious training again now, so he's working towards getting the best out of himself. But what he hasn't had to do is go into a camp and lose weight.
Yeah.
He's on the money. So he's
never put the weight back on in any way, shape.
And also, he's not like he's had a lot of fights in the last 18 months or so. So it's not like he's burning himself out in the ring, but he's in the training camp, and you only got to look at his face. I mean, he looks like he could fight right now.
Yeah.
Because of everything that happened, obviously people disappointed with the cut, Frank, and obviously mad conspiracies. We know it. You get cut in sparring. It happens. This is what happens. But is the fight even bigger now than it was then?
You're absolutely right. I think it is, Carl. I think it's a very valid point, and I think it has, because the anticipation of it was all that time, and then everyone's got a downer. Now they've got to read the date in. Yeah, but is he going to be ready on that date? Well, the fact of the matter is he is going to be ready on that date now. And now everybody who I talk to, if you get, if it's a cab driver, whatever it may, everybody you talk to, that's all they talk about. All they talk about is the fight.
Pleasure, brother. Carl.
We're switching over.
We're going to switch out. The big man for the little man out.
That big lad.
When I'm on the mic, they cried, go.
Do it on the bone. Do it on the bone. We were just saying, just complimenting you. I mean, you've heard it a lot, but just how phenomenal you look.
I've had
genuinely.
I've had a clean shave, and it always makes a man look a little bit better, doesn't it? When you've got a bit of a tan on, and you've had a shave, made an effort, and I've had a shower, and I've got a bit of aftershave on, so feeling good.
You're looking well. I was having a little look at the eye. It looks brand new. How's it feeling?
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, it's a fight game, and if it opens, a cut opens. So what? We continue.
You talk about how you look facially. Look how you look physically.
It's the whole look.
I mean, you look at you.
It's an all round, just the way you're walking from A to B. You
hold demeanour, and
I'm actually frightened of where I am at the moment, and that's a fact. I wouldn't lie to you. I'm actually terrified of where I am at the moment. Because I'm ready to go this weekend, and I've got 5 more weekends to go. So, like Sugar said, the thing is not doing tons of training, but it's to do less. Because I'm already ready, and if I peak too soon, then I'll come down with an illness, a flu, chest infection, whatever. That's the main concern at the moment, is monitoring the training, because I'm ready.
Tyson, it seems like, I know a lot of these insults that they roll off your back, and you're a man who gives as good as he gets, but a couple of team members, you've mentioned these people in boxing who maybe criticise you after the Ngannou fight. Use that as a little bit of fuel. Was that something that you needed just to add a little bit of spice to this and that training camp where you...
Not really, because Van Gogh probably had his haters, but I don't know who they were. And someone who's saying negative things about somebody else is not relevant, and no one will remember their name. So when history comes, when it counts, no one will remember their name anyway. And people are going to talk about successful people. And no matter who they are, what success game they're in, what business they're in, then they're always going to have people who, if they're important, if they're worth talking about, there's going to be good and bad comments. So the person who doesn't have any bad comments is obviously not in a position where people want to talk about him. So I think it's fantastic. I think productive criticism is an amazing thing, and as a man who can take everything, give it, take it, whatever, it's good. It's healthy. It's a healthy relationship. It's like a love-hate sort of relationship, a bit like my marriage, really. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned, sorry, Frank. You mentioned up there.
Caught him right off there. You're in for it.
No. I did it politely. That's why I'm not looking over, because he's glaring at me. No, quite seriously. You said there that when you had the cut, that for a day you used the word depressed. You were a bit down,
I was down. Yeah.
What lifted you? What raised your spirits?
I think I touched on it over there on the stage. I feel like everything's where it should be at any given time, and it probably wasn't my time. God's timing wasn't right for me then, and God has a way of making everything right, and I got a cut. So here we are, and I'm feeling good now, feeling fantastic, looking good. I've heard it many times. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting in there and I'm having a good fight.
Tyson, you brought your dad into camp this time, and you mentioned on stage that how important that is. What does he bring to a camp? Is there a
My dad brings like a Spartan training regime. It's like butchering us in the gym, slaughter you type of mentality, old school. But it's also nice to be everything on good terms with your family, because everything starts at home, in house. So if that but if everything's good at home, family's all good, everyone's good, then you get the best out of it, everybody. And I feel like with my dad now, we're all on the same page, thank God. So it's better for me. Everyone, I just, as a man and as a professional sportsman, I just want a little bit of plain sailing. Do you know what I mean? I just don't want all the arguments all the time. He said this, she said that. I just want it to be straight sailing, work away, everybody work together. If someone's got something to say it. If they don't, hold it. And that's it. I just want people to be open. Do you know what I mean? I don't ask people to powder coat stuff. Give it me as it is. If I'm useless, tell me. If I'm good, I'm good. Keep it to yourself.
Exactly.
We heard from His Excellency, and he mentioned maybe even 10 more fights.
10 more fights.
You seem to have a brilliant relationship with him. He said you're getting the readies as well.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see 10? What are we talking?
Do you know the facts of the matter are is if they can line them up, quickly, I'll do them. I want to be active. I've said to you, Frank, for years, haven't I?
All the way.
Like last year, I was out the ring for 12 months. Yeah. The year before, what did I have? 2 fights.
2 fights. And
the year before that, no fights. The year before that, no fights. So it's inactivity. I get the best out of me when I have 2, 3, 4 fights on the spin. Bam, 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 bam. And if they can do it, fantastic. If they can't, they can't. We have to go at snail's pace. But it is what it is.
Tuss, can I ask you a personal thing, not that personal? You talked about, if you've had a row with someone in your family, it can ruin your day.
Yeah.
Are you, when you're training for this fight, so it's the biggest fight in the 21st century, one of the biggest fights I've ever been at, one of the biggest fights you've ever been at, Frank, in every which way.
Yeah.
Are you going home at night to your wife and all your kids in your house, or are you staying away? I mean, I'm not prying. I'm just trying to work out if you're
I'm in a training camp.
You're in a training camp. That's good. All right, good.
People have gone away from home for years, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Hundreds of years.
That's what,
training camps. That's what they're for. So yeah.
Yeah, you are doing that. Yeah. Okay, good. I just wanted to check that, because that would have been just been another.
Well, that's what he's always done.
Exactly. It would have been.
Imagine I was just going getting the kids up for 7.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. School run, ballet run. Yeah.
And in between doing my training.
Yeah. For the biggest fight. Hey, but the thing is, if anyone could do it, you'd be the one doing it. That's why I asked, because you would be the person that would end up doing it.
For sure.
Tyson, do you feel the gravity of this event ever, or is it for you? Is it just another box? Because you can say easily, right, it's just another fight, but this holds a bit of weight. This is gravity. This is history making. And do you feel that in camp?
No, I just see them as boxing fights. Obviously, it's a major event. Like we just said, it's the biggest event that Hall of Fame promoter has been involved in, and he's seen it all. So this is a major event. You know what I mean? But while I'm training in the gym, it doesn't matter if I'm training for a 5-5 guy or a 60-0 guy. I'm going to do my training. And do what I got to do. It's a boxing fight, pretty much all the same. I know what's in front of me. I've got a bad man in front of me, really, because he's quick, he's a southpaw, he's a boxer, he's beat AJ, the big old sausage AJ, beat him. So he must be mustard if he can beat that big sausage. So yeah, we'll see. He beat Chisora, beat Dubois, beat AJ twice. Only one man standing in his way of total domination with Great Britain.
Do you feel big lad?
When everybody else fails, send in the GK.
The GK. Listen,
the GK for men.
They asked for the boss, so he sent me, dog.
we know you love to trade insults. You love to jab. You said there's nobody better talking on the stage than
Definitely not. But I just want to say, AJ's a big fat sausage, for sure.
There we go. We're live.
Shall I say a big useless sausage?
You can say whatever you want, Tyson.
Yeah.
This is your stream.
AJ, I know it's been rattling your cage, you big useless sausage. I want to beat this guy, and you've been beat twice off him. Get up, slink. How about that for another insult?
Surely. I know we don't want to look.
Don't
past
call me
it, but
Shirley.
You traded insults. That's got to
No,
be
it's just
something.
me insulting him, innit?
That's got to be one of the 10 fights that Turkey
It'll
wants
probably
to
be
see.
2 of the 10 fights, so that'll take me to 4.
There we go.
So we got 6 after that.
There we go. And
Shall I just name the 10? Sack
You
it.
might as well.
I'll do Usyk. Yeah. I'll do AJ if you don't get beaten in the meantime. That's 4. And then I might chuck a Dubois in if he's back up there, which he is at the moment, or a Joe Joyce.
Joe Parker,
chuck him in there.
Mate,
that's 7.
You know.
7. Go to America. We'll chuck in some maybe Deontay Wilder if he gets back in a 4th fight with old Deontay. Maybe a European guy, maybe Agid Kabayel. Or the 10th. Who would the 10th fight be?
Big 10.
Who would the 10th be? 10. Come on.
Moses Itama.
No, definitely not. Think I'm stupid. No. Probably do like a trilogy with like Usyk or something afterwards.
Right, fair play. Well,
whoever. If I'm still going to 10 fights later,
I'm glad you got Frank. He's doing your job for you. You know what? I think that is all we got time for.
Everybody's job for him. Don't worry about that.
Thank you very much,
Cheers,
Tyson.
guys. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Muncie.
We'll see you upstairs.
Always a pleasure, my man.
Thank you.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Muncie. I nearly put the mic down. I think he's done it. He's ended the show for us already. 10 fights.
Yeah, you know what?
We're doing it in 2 years.
You know what? I'll see you later.
Do you know what? Absolute pleasure.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, brother.
My man, enjoy. Huge fight. May 18th. Can't wait for it. Ring of Fire. Let's go.
Proper fight.
Proper fight.
Only me.